Welcome to Wildflower Western Lifestyle Live with host Becca Salamone.
Lost you.
Hey everybody, I'm Becca Salamone and this is Wildflower Western Lifestyle Live. I'm really super excited to have a friend of mine on the show today. He's a country music singer and he's got a fantastic voice. I met him. I've met him before, but I met him most recently at Black Creek Tavern in Fultondale, Alabama, where he plays quite often. And his name is Chris Williams with the Chris Williams and the Highway 29 Band. Did I get that right?
Right.
All right. Well, welcome to the show. How are you doing today, Chris?
Morning. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Yeah. So, so you're from Hamilton, Alabama. How far is that from Birmingham area?
About 90 miles.
Okay. So it's a trip for you to come down here.
Pretty good little trip. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So, do what now?
I said it's well worth the trip, though.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Music.
Yeah. Seems like you're cutting out a little bit on your vocals, but I'm going to try to give a pause when I ask you something and, just let you talk, because it seems like if I'm trying to talk over it, it cuts out. But that's okay. That's the world of the live stream. And hey, by the way, speaking of live stream, thank y'all so much for joining us, and for the replay viewers, I really appreciate y'all giving a little bit of your time to watch the show and learn all about the Western lifestyle. So first of all, let me just get started and say, what is your music background and how did you get started in music?
Well, I kind of got started late in life playing for the public. About 15 years ago, roughly, somewhere in the neighborhood, I stuck a little video on Facebook, and it kind of did well, and got acquainted with some writers in Nashville from that. And Mike Helms approached me about fronting for a band. And at that time, there was no way that I knew enough songs to go front for a band, but he pressed me about it a little bit. And so they had this show, and they wanted me to come sit in with them, and I did. And I sang "He Stopped Loving Her Today" by George Jones, and got a standing ovation. And
Wow.
I think
that's pretty special. Get a standing O.
Spots, so it really turned out really well. And then we put a band together and started learning songs and started doing our thing. And John Helms and David Jones came along, and they took me under their wing. And they'd been making music since we were in high school. We went to high school with them, and they just stuck by me, and it's done well over the years. We
Yeah.
a lot of places and had a lot of fun, and we've made a record, and we're working on another one. And
That's awesome. So, do you feel like you've had your breakthrough moment, or when did you just realize this is something that you need to do?
Well, I've had, I think if you stay focused and you keep making music, you have breakthroughs all the time. You move to different levels. There's so many times that I thought that we were done. We plateaued, and it was kind of over with. And then another door opens. Like year before last, I kind of thought everything was kind of over with, and the places that we were playing over in Mississippi had kind of shut down. And Stephen Pace, we got on the phone one day, and we were talking about a piece of property. And I called him about it. I thought it was for sale, and it wasn't. But anyway, he asked me, we were talking about music, and he asked me, he said, "Do you write?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." I said, "I don't write a lot of songs." I said, "They have to kind of hit me hard, but I do write." And he said, "Would you be interested in playing the Nashville Palace when we have the writers round in February?" And
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I can get you on it or not, because it was pretty close. It was in I think it was in December when he and I were talking about that thing. And I was at a basketball game watching my son play, and it's been a couple years ago when this first took place. I sat at a basketball game watching my youngest son play ball, and I got the text message to confirm that you're on the writers round at the Nashville Palace. And I almost threw my phone in the air, because I was so happy. And my mother-in-law was sitting beside me. And I just held the phone over and let her read it. And she said, she had goosebumps in her arms, because it was just a moment that, it's one of those things that you cherish for everyone. It's little things, but it's big things to you, and it's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, definitely. So you've been up playing in Nashville quite a bit.
And I,
What places have you played up there?
we played the Palace in the Riders rounds, and we played the local, and then played the Maxwell Millennium Hotel. Had a big Riders round there, which was several days and nights, and it all that stuff was just an awesome experience for me. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. If I could just make music, and that'd be my life completely every day, I think I'd be like a dead pig in the sunshine.
But explain to people what the did you say the Maxwell Millennium? What is that?
Well, it's a big motel, and they have a big ballroom, and they have riders rounds, and they have these people that they just set these things up, and if you get invited, you get to go do it. And when I did it, it was 3 days and nights, and I think it was January last year, I believe it was. Did it. And uh, it was just phenomenal. I mean, there were people from all the way from New York that had drove down to be in that thing.
Wow.
So I actually got it, it really went well. I was going to say I actually got an ovation at it, but I can't really call it that because everybody didn't stand up. But a few people did stand up. Were really impressed with it. There was a handful of them, I guess it was. But yeah, I got a good response from everybody, and people would come talk to me after I would sing, and it was pretty cool. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. I think I did well. So
Yeah. So you can tell you have a good talking voice, and that transfers into your singing voice. I've heard it. So how do you describe what your sound is?
I don't really know how to describe it. I know to begin with, I was heavily influenced by George Jones and Alan Jackson, and then as time went on, everybody loves George Strait, and I love George Strait too, and used to try to sing when I would get on stage. I would just try to be them, and I would
Right.
sound just like them. But if you listen, I've got a kind of a heavy nasal thing going on there, a little bit. Or I don't know
Mhm.
if it's heavy or what, but sometimes it is, sometimes it ain't. But now I just open my mouth and whatever comes out comes out. I don't try to be anybody but me,
Right.
because I want to be me, and these songs that I've recorded that it'll show. But you know,
It looks like I lost Chris, but we're going to try to get him back here. So while we're doing that, let me tell you something that's going on with me. And let me send him a little note right here. I'll tell him to try to get back in. All right. So what's going on with me is I had a huge honor happen to me lately. And it is that I was asked to teach line dance. I have Becca's Barn Dance as one of my businesses, and I'm a line dance instructor. Been teaching since I was about 10 years old, but professionally since 2012. And I was asked to teach line dancing at the upcoming Field and Stage Music Fest, which is attached to the World Deer Expo. And I think he's coming back in now.
how about it now?
All right, I hear you. Where were we?
On what?
I kept talking. I talked about my thing that I have going on, and I'm going to go ahead and display what I
Go ahead.
was talking about real quick before we get started. I'll tell you too now that you can hear me. I had a big honor because I have Becca's Barn Dance line dancing, and I had a big honor of being asked to teach at the 3-day Field and Stage Music Fest, which is attached to the World Deer Expo. So that's coming up, and I'm going to have a really great dance plan for those 3 days. And I'm the pre-show. Basically, we're the pre-show, and then the big stars come on right after that. So I'm hyping up the crowd and teaching them how to dance and all that kind of stuff. And I did not hear you say something if you talked, so we need to check on your sound.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. All right. So anyway, this thing that I have running on here, this little crawler says "Dance with Becca in the Pit" because people will be dancing in the pit right before the stage on July 17th, 18th, and 19th, and it gives the little place for them to go sign up for that. Anyway, that was a commercial for me.
I can find it. Where is this going to be?
This is going to be at the BJCC Coliseum in Legacy Arena.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I've been told it's going to be. I'm going to be teaching to about 6,000 people a night, but I'm not sure about the number. But maybe it'll be more, maybe less. But I don't care. It's just going to be fun. Big
Yeah,
lineup
I'd
party.
like to do that if I can.
Yeah, I'll send you the link to sign up for that. And you need to get your 3-day pass through that link because I'm the only one promoting that link. It's the only way you can get that 3-day pass, and
Okay.
it's a discounted pass. Yes.
We'll look at that. We'll see what I got going on. I'll have to look at my calendar, but man, that sounds great.
Yeah, it does. All right, so I'm going to stop talking about me now. We'll go back to you.
Oh, it's fine. Absolutely fine. So,
Yeah.
sorry, locked out there. I don't know what happened, but
Yeah. Well, that can happen, and it's alive. So you just try to get back in. Everybody understands that. All right. So what were we saying? You talking about your music?
yep, we were talking about my music and talking about writing and playing in Nashville and all of that was a wonderful experience. And when I was making music before all the Nashville thing got started, uh, I just kind of had to have somebody with me out of the band. Every time I went somewhere to go sing, I would bring somebody with me. So when I started doing that writers round in Nashville, you know, I did two of them at the Palace, and the second time I did the Palace, Stephen was like, he said, I think you've crossed over. I don't think you need a pacifier anymore because I always brought John or somebody with me whenever we because man, I tell you, it don't matter to me. It don't matter how many shows you do. You always you always have butterflies. I always do, and it
Yeah.
don't matter where I'm at. I don't care if it's on the front porch in front of a bunch of people, or if I was at an arena. I'm sure if I was at an arena, it would be wild. But when I did the Palace, the first time I did the Palace, Stephen come up there and he says, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Yes, as much as I'm going to be." He said, "Are you nervous?" And I said, "Son, it's the kind of nervous like I've never known before." And it was a completely different kind of, I mean, I was shaking so bad that I couldn't hardly make chords on my guitar,
Oh my goodness.
right before he said showtime and he started introducing everybody. And then after that, I don't know, I kind of just got a calm and it all went well, and we did. And that brings me back around to, my sound. When we were up there on stage and after we did that round, this guy sitting beside me, and he said it right in front of everybody. He said, "Man," he said, "I love your voice." He said, "I don't know exactly what it sounds like, but he said it sounds like to me if George Strait and Jimmy Buffett would have had a love child in it."
That's
So
about right. Yeah.
I took it as a compliment anyway. So
Yeah.
pretty cool.
So I'm sure a lot of artists, or they don't even have to be music artists, just anybody that's about to get up on stage to do something, they get the case of the nerves. But have you dealt with that kind of anxiety your whole life, and
My
does it
whole
just happen when you go on stage?
That's the very reason that I was so late in life getting started making music. Honestly, I mean, I was just so bashful, and it took me years to get to where it wasn't completely noticeable.
Right.
And really, anxiety, a tough thing to deal with, and it will hamper your music making on stage too. Because when you get on stage to do these songs that you've learned and you've been belting them out going down the highway when you're learning them, or whatever, wherever you are when you're learning them, it's you do them one way and you got all confidence in the world, and then you get up on stage and you're real bad nervous, you're going to hold back a little bit, and
Yeah.
and I have done that in the past. And still do it on a brand new song. When I bring in a new song
Right.
or me to the stage when I get up there, I don't find that I do it as well the first time I do it. I have to get comfortable with it.
Yeah, yeah. It translates to line dance teaching as well. If I'm teaching a dance that's new to me,
Right.
then I'm not going to be as confident teaching it. But as the more and more you teach it, then you can let loose and be kind of silly and be fun with it.
And it,
But you want to get it right that first few times, right?
yes,
Every time, but you're just not as confident when you don't know it as well. I
right.
understand that. Do you have any advice for people who kind of go through that and maybe they're afraid to step up there and do something?
Well, the only advice that I know of to give people with real anxiety issues about wanting to be heard and seen, but still not having the guts to get up there and do it, it's it's tough, but you know you just got to go up there. You just got to do it, even if you mess up, even if you forget the words. The only way you can get started is to get started.
That's
And
right.
and when we first started out with that little band that we first started out with, it was called Driven, and everybody in that band was a truck driver, so it all kind of
Oh, that's cute.
time, yeah. And when we first started doing our thing, and I'll say this as a piece of advice is when you first start making music, if you got a place local that you can go to and do open mics and that kind of thing, that's a really good start for anybody.
Yeah.
That kind of gets you started out on the ground floor, and you'll have guidance, through that kind of thing. Whoever the owners are generally um, are really good about taking care of you because they know that you're new and they know you're getting started out and you know at least that was my experience.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
started Papa's Opry here in Hamilton, and he used to have a thing, and he redone this building and put old theater seats in it and had record albums all over the walls, and it was a great place to get started and play.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've got a little story about being nervous and like your first time. When I hit 40, I had songs pour out of me. I don't know how many I wrote, but a bunch of them. And then I kind of hooked up with a Nashville singer songwriter on one of them, and I think she still plays my song to this day. But I've never done it. But that when I was working with her, she was like, "Well, we need to do some karaoke and get you out there and get you practicing, like you're saying." So the first night I ever had done karaoke, we were practicing at her place. It was down at the beach, and I learned the song well enough. It was me and Bobby McGee, and I
Hmm.
went to a karaoke bar with her, and I got up there and I sang it. And then she said, "Okay, you're ready." And we went down to the Floribama, and she said, "I need her to sing on stage." And I got up that night and sang at Floribama, the first time ever I'd sung on stage. And I got a huge, like, woo! Not a standing ovation because everybody was already standing, but they clapped a lot. So I totally understand that, like getting out there and practice and that fear of getting up there too. And, getting on here live, I mean, this is live to the world, that can be a little bit disconcerting, but I always tell people, it's just a chat between friends and it doesn't really matter. And we're just going to get your story out. So that's what we're doing with you.
Alabama story. Uh, the same guy, and I got to. There's a lot of people that I have to thank, as we do this interview. But Stephen Pace is somebody that I really have to, give a lot of credit to because he's the one that hooked me up with the Nashville Palace and those Riders rounds, and of course that got me into the local and into the Maxwell House thing, and but we were going to the beach, and I sent Stephen a message and asked him if he knew anybody down there that was going to be playing. And so he just called me, and he said, "Yeah, Kyle Wilson will be down there," and I know him. And, yeah, I said, "Can you, talk to him and see if I can sing a couple songs?" He said, "Absolutely." So he got us in a text message together. He contacted Kyle, and Kyle was good with it, and we talked and we planned it all out, and so we go to the beach, and then we go to the Floribama, and we go in, we sit down, and we're sitting there, and he does like a set, and then he calls me up, you know, so I get up there, and so he just hands me a guitar. Oh, he would be there, He just hands me a guitar, and he says, "All right, have fun," No
Hello.
way. But so I did two songs, and I thought I was done. He was sitting out there in the crowd, sitting with my wife and my friends out there, and he said, "Do another one." did another one. He said, "Man, do another one." So I ended up doing about, and then he gets up and he leaves and he goes out, and so I ended up doing about 15 songs, and I actually
No way.
wrote one, about him because he was saying all this whole crazy stuff about mushrooms and just making it up. He's just being crazy. But anyway, he's cool. Kyle is awesome. But anyway, so I ended up doing about 15 songs, and of course the crowd ate it up, and we had a good time with it. And I was joking, and we was laughing, so we had a good time. But that's my Floribama story.
There you go. I'm sure there are lots of stories from Floribama, so we don't need to share.
Experiences down there. So
Yeah. All right. So, tell us a little bit about the origin of your band's name. So it's Chris Williams. Obviously, that's your name, and the Highway 29 Band. What is that from?
well, Highway 29 is a county road just out of Hamilton, and that's where I was living at the time. And which it's no secret back then, man, and my wife and we were separated. And so I was living up at my grandma's place and had a little mobile home up there, and it's on County Road 29. And when we had the band driven, all of us kind of lived, around each other at that time. And Josh, kind of got in an accident, and he lost his life, and he was playing bass for us. And after that, we just kind of decided we was just going to change the name, and just let all that just. And we was we were just sitting around thinking up names, and everybody just almost all at once says, "Why don't we just call it Highway 29?" Because everybody lived right there, either on 29 or in proximity of it. So that's what we went with, and I'm really glad about Highway 29 now. It took me a long time to get to like that name. Honestly, I'm just being honest, because for a long time I just did not like it at all.
Hmm.
I changed it. I've had a couple of different names I tried to go by, but it always, Highway 29 is like a bent nickel. It just keeps turning up.
Yeah.
So I finally embraced it and come up with this little patch that I'm gonna have some T-shirts made, and it's gonna say 29er right here, or be a 29er, or whatever on the
Right.
front. I have Chris Williams and Highway 29 on the back, and
Well,
so
tell people what a 29er is.
a 29er is somebody that comes and listens to Chris Williams and Highway 29.
So they're groupies.
Wouldn't you like to be a 29er too? I'm borrowing that, by the way. No copyright infringement.
So yeah, so that's a pretty cool name, and I like your logo that you have for that. I don't know if I have that. I don't think I can show that, but I don't think I have it ready. But anyway, that's a pretty neat little name, and it's memorable. So I think it'll do well for y'all. So you mentioned some stuff about merchandise. So what is your merchandise going to be? T-shirts and
Well,
hats, things like that.
T-shirts and not a whole lot of stuff, but T-shirts and coffee mugs and uh, that's about it. Just little small stuff. Had a few hats. I think we've sold all that stuff, and we're going to order back as soon as this CD thing. We were hoping. Can we talk about the new CD?
Yeah, please. That was my next question.
All right, so I've got these two songs coming out that'll be one of them's a gospel song and called "The Right Side of Jesus," or "On the Right Side of Jesus," and the other song is called "So Glad," and it's got a long title called "It's So Glad You Came Into My Life." And these songs were recorded in Nashville at Hilltop, which is an old studio that's been there forever. Alabama. All the older guys recorded there, but they have Brent Mason on my songs that did all that picking for Alan Jackson. And Buddy Hyatt was the producer on these two songs. Buddy is really great and is a real good friend of mine, and he told me he was going to try to have Brent come in to do these sessions, when I come up, and it all worked out, and it was fantastic, and I got to meet him, and you know, we hoped, and we've been working on this thing for a little while, but we just got an email this morning that it kind of got pushed back. We were hoping to have all this ready by next weekend, and I was hoping to have a CD release party, next Friday night at Black Creek Tavern, and I'm not saying that it's off. I'm not. I hadn't really been saying anything about it because you just don't do that till you know for sure. Everything's going to be in place. But yeah, we got some cool stuff coming up, and whether it comes out at the end of this week or the end, an end of next week or whatever, I think it's going to be pretty cool. And I hope and pray that these songs will send it in the direction of the Opry, somewhere down the line. I've made friends with Jim Seals and Mike McGuire, and they're both of Shenandoah, and Mike is still on the road with Shenandoah. But they've been talking to me, and you know, uh, anytime that I have questions about the industry part of it, they have been more than happy to talk to me. And they didn't just say, if you need me, call me, and just blow me off. They meant it
Right.
good to me, and I'm really happy about that. And hopefully, someone, I don't know whether through them or somebody that'll see it, that'll like it. Hopefully these songs will do well. And my dream is to be on the Grand Ole Opry.
That was my next question. I was like, what is your main goal? That's it.
I want to get there, and you know, I, Eli and I, my son, and without Eli, none of this would be possible.
Yeah, thank you, Eli.
He handles all this computer stuff and these interviews and all the CD making, and I mean he makes it happen.
So he's your manager.
Absolutely is, and
Yeah.
I just couldn't. I'd be dead in the water right now.
Yeah, I appreciate him getting you on the screen here today.
Right back there going, hey.
All right, so tell us a little bit more about some of your songs that you've done. I know you're releasing some new ones, but what about the other ones?
Well, one of these songs, we put this CD out a couple years ago, and it had 4 songs on it, and these will be included on this new CD. We decided we'd just go ahead and make a little group, and we're featuring the 2 new songs, but the old songs are there too. And one of them is called "I Still Think About You," and I wrote that song when I were separated, and it's kind of a love song, or a love sick song, any way you want to do it, but song, and it a lot of people like it. It went really well. There's another song that's on that thing. It's called the Chicken Liver Song. And,
Yeah, let's talk about that one.
well, the Chicken Liver Song came about with I was that when I first put stuff on Facebook, Dennis Knutson, now, and he's gone to heaven, but he was a great guy, and Dennis wrote a lot of stuff for Buck Owens and George Strait, and Lori Morgan, and George Jones, and he was just one of the old guys that was in Nashville, and he saw one of my songs that I put on. I put on a song, a cover. I'm pretty sure the first song that I put on Facebook, I was working at a service station out there, and during the day, service station was just dead most. And so I was sitting out there, and I put "Stroll Over Heaven." I'm pretty sure that's what I put on. And then I wrote this song that I put on there, and I can't even remember the name of it because I only did it that one time, and it was well, it was a real sad story, and I don't want to get into all that because it was just a bad thing that happened here in Hamilton. But anyway, Dennis saw that song, and he liked it, and he sent me a message, and he said, if you ever want to write a good one, give me a holler sometime. And so that rocked on for a week or so, and maybe a couple of weeks, and I sent him a message back on Facebook Messenger, and I said, "Did you really mean that?" And he said, "Absolutely, I meant it." And so he said,
Oh.
"Come on up, and you got an idea for a song." And so I went up, and he and I wrote Faces, and it was a song, about me and about my kids during the time that we were stuck. And it's called "Faces of My Kids" is what the title of the song is, and it we didn't put it on the CD because there was some problems with it with a publisher, and I never have released that song, and maybe someday I will. I'll get to, but after some time went by, we wrote that, and some time went by, and I went up to talk to Jamie Christie at Melody Roundup Music, and that's where we were writing, and I was just basically went to beg Jamie to help me get on the Opry. But he had this other guy he was pushing real hard, and he told me, Clinton Gregory was who he was pushing at the time. Clinton is fantastic. Clinton has been on the Opry. He's just one of the best musicians that has ever been, ever. You know, singer. He's just phenomenal. But anyway, I was begging him, and actually, I really wasn't at the time, and I don't know if I am now, but I'm better now than I was then. But back then, I thought I was already a superstar. I was it. And I really didn't even realize how pitchy I was, and there was a lot of things that I didn't know was going on there. But I went up to talk to Jamie about that, and Gerald Smith and Dennis were sitting in one of the writers' rooms when I come into the foyer, and they said, "Hey, Williams, come on back here." And I said, "Well, give me a minute. I want to talk to Jamie." And I talked to Jamie, and I went back there, and we were talking, and he said, "Well, do you have a song idea?" And I said, "Yeah, I just hadn't had one. I didn't even go to write. I just went to talk to Jamie. I didn't have no idea we were going to start this song." And so uh, I had this little thing in my head, and it was Moon River, chicken liver, and a bottle of beer. And that's how the thing got started, just off of that line. And so Dennis and Gerald, they liked it, and we picked it up, and the song got wrote, in about 2 hours.
Wow.
A demo on it and sent it to me, on an MP3 on my phone, and I think I might have changed one line in it, and then we wrote with it, and that was it, and it made the CD, and back when we recorded that thing, I had tune designers out of Georgia. I sent them kind of a rough draft of it. They did the production on the song, and it turned out real good. So it's my designer, and y'all give him a look. He's really good. It,
So this. Sorry, I interrupted you and it cut out. What'd you say?
I was just going to say he does a good job, and it's affordable.
Okay. All right. So this chicken liver song, when I looked it up today, it said it was trending. So has that been really popular on Instagram or where?
I honestly, if it is, I don't know anything about it. I got here the other day from Distro Kid that says, and I don't even know how to get into it. That's just how backwards I am. It's need your tax information because we have money for you, and I'm like, all right, I've got to get that done, and that's just,
Yeah,
I'm doing really well and don't even know anything about it. So
just make sure it's not spam first.
we'll be in my Social Security number to God knows who. So
Oh yeah. All right. We've mentioned several times here that you've been talking with people that are from the old school, old country. And would you say that that's kind of your style? And also, would you say that that's coming back, like with people like Zach Top and others?
I think Zach Top and even Ella Langley, bringing back some real cool country music.
Yeah.
Using Texas to me was a real good modern day country song. I really liked the song, and it had a real good vibe. Just about everything that Zach Top does is got the old school way about it, and I really love that guy. He's really great, and he seems like a real cool kind of person just to hang out with. He's
Right.
like he has a real good personality. Just to just deal with or want to and talk, but he seems to be pretty funny, and I like a good joke, myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There you go. So are there other artists like that you're kind of following, and maybe they're your idols or whatever that you look up to?
well, really not in modern day country. It's Zach and Ella, and Ella not so much. She does some cool stuff, but She's in Texas was probably the most country thing that she did for me. That
Mm.
still following Alan Jackson and George Strait, and that's just Shenandoah, all that older stuff, and Shenandoah's doing really well, and they're probably doing better now than they did back in what they call the heyday. I think this is going to be their heyday, in my opinion.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of got to be old school, or it's just not for me. And if that plays out someday, then I ride out to the end of it.
Right. Well, we have to give kudos to Ella Langley. I mean, she's from Alabama, so we claim her. And
Love her music, and I she's another one that just in her little videos when she's at home or when she's hanging out with people, she seems like she's real cool.
right, right, a real person. And same with Lainey Wilson. She's done incredible, and both of those people have made country cool again. And
Oh, they absolutely have.
yeah, I always say that I was country when country wasn't cool, and that goes back to Barbara Mandrell. So that tells you my age.
Yeah, well, Laney puts cornbread right in country. I'll tell you right
That's
now.
right.
She's awesome.
So you mentioned On the Right Side of Jesus was the name of the song coming out. So tell us a little bit about your faith journey, and what that means to you.
Well, I have been a believer ever since I was just a little kid, and I'm talking about. This is what happened to me when I was just a real young child. I've always believed in God, always, and I was literally down on my knees beside my bed, and I was probably maybe 7 years old. I don't know. And on my knees, and I was praying my little prayer at night, and which I pray every night and all through the night. If I wake up, I start praying. I do that. But that night, I was down on my knees and I was praying to God to watch over my family, and I was sitting there with my hands clasped together and I was praying, and out of the corner of my eye I saw this light, and it was a cross on the wall. Now, what made that cross was a car coming up the highway from way up the highway, and it lit the light come through my window, and the wood that frames the window is where the light, it went against the
Right.
wall cross. But when I looked at it, it scared me. I'm talking about, and I knew then that I had the fear of God. I've had it all my life. Now, sometimes I probably didn't fear him as much as I should have, because I have gotten off the path, like a lot of people do, but I don't. I mean, that was my fault. I'm the one that did that, and but I absolutely believe in God, and I believe in everything that He has. I think God has put me right here where I am, and I think God is going to put me where I'm going to be, whether that's the Opry or He calls me home, whatever it is that He does. And that song that I wrote, On the Right Side of Jesus, uh, it pretty much describes me. And before my wife and I got back together, I wasn't going to church, and and uh, and I started going to this little church called Poplar Log, which is not too far from my house, and all those little thoughts come into my head about how all that come together, and and I was just sitting there thinking, I'm on the right side of Jesus, and took my Bible off the shelf, and then the song came about, and I hope you guys will listen to that song, and I really think I try to write songs in which, and like, I don't even call myself a songwriter, because I don't write all the time. It's something has to hit me. It's got to
Right.
be of some sort involved in it, and I think it's something that people can relate to.
Yeah, definitely. And I call that something that hits you inspiration, and I get a lot of mine from God directly. We have a good relationship, talk to him every day. But that inspiration, that's that artistic creativity that comes through you because that's what you were born to do.
Yep. Well, and I need to write more. I know I do, but I honestly I don't want to just sit down and write a song. Well, they might not be. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Let's just make sure we get that out and open because people make a living writing songs in Nashville because that's all they do every day, all day long. And that is fantastic. That is wonderful. And today, if the stars line up and God says it's okay and let's do this, I might get to make a big album, and I'll need those guys. I'll need those songs because I don't know that I could write a whole album and make it all come out. I can't. Who knows? It's all up to the good Lord and how much inspiration that I get, I guess. But the songs that I've written about that I have wrote have all had a story behind them. Every one of them.
Yeah. And country music is famous for telling stories. It makes it interesting to listen to it, and you want to see what's going to happen in that story, and also it relates to your own story. So, yeah, talk a little bit about that, and like what that inspiration is for you for most of these songs.
Well, um, when I wrote "I Still Think About You," I was sitting up there and it come a storm and I was thinking about my wife and my kids and you know when the storm passed through, it'd been raining all day and it was just dark, black, cloudy. And when the storm finally come through, it blew trees down and the power was off. And I walked outside and after it comes to rain and the sun comes out, there's just this wonderful smell in the air, and that hit me, and that's how that song it actually kicks off, you know, and the storm is over, and it's just it just all goes into the whole story about her and how things were and how things could be. Uh, Now the chicken liver song, you know, it was a fabricated, put together song. It really wasn't it or anything. It wasn't. It was one of those kind of things. But uh, I wrote a song called "To Thine Own Song Be True." And when I wrote that song, I was thinking about, it's going to be on the CD. I was thinking about the path, the road that I'd been on and where I'd been and where I'm going, and it relates to rock and roll and to gospel and to bluegrass, at the end of it, and it gives everybody a little bit of something to think about, through and the message in that song is, whether you're a football player or a baseball player or a rodeo cowboy or whatever it is that you do, or a music maker or a songwriter, be true to whatever that art is that you do, and just and love it, embrace it, and follow through with it as much as possible. And you know, I got to say this: had it not been for Ken Randolph, this part of the dream would not have come to fruition.
Yeah, we need to talk about Ken for sure. He's a big influence.
Ken is a big influence. And Ken is one of the smartest people that I know in the music business, and he knows everybody, and he absolutely is able to create a path for somebody if he's got time to do it. And he took the time to help me and to do it for me. He really did. And
It's fantastic.
I can't thank him enough for it because I was doing all those riders rounds and all that stuff in Nashville, and it was great. It was fantastic. I loved it, and I'm going to do some more of it in time. But you know, I went and sat in with him and sang a few songs with him, and he and I, we had a conversation, and the question was when we first started talking about it, he said, "Are you married to Nashville?" And I said, "Well, I'm not married to it, but I don't want to quit it, but I'm open to suggestion." And so we started talking about bringing me on and sitting in and putting a band together, and and just kind of getting out there where people could hear me and see me, and he made that happen. He absolutely made it happen. Had it not been for him, this has been the biggest 2 years I've ever had between now
Wow.
and what Ken helped me put together, and the
Yeah.
owners and these places, and he really has been a super huge influence in my music making.
So is Ken a permanent member of the band?
No, Ken has got the Cooter Brown band, and now Ken is always welcome to sing in the band. I mean, but I don't. I consider him part of the band, but I don't think he considers himself as part of the
Yeah.
band. Not sure how he thinks about that. I just know that Ken, when it comes time to do a show, he'll come and he'll sing, and he is Highway 29 like everybody else is when we're up there on stage together. And I really love making music, with him on stage, especially when we do it as the Cooter Brown thing, and he features me. We I'll do the old country, and he'll do the rock and the blues, and it gives everybody something to listen to.
Right.
I think it makes for a great show.
Yeah. I definitely like that combo of y'all together.
Yeah, and when I'm pretty sure he'll be with us next Friday night, and it'll be fun. It always is when we're together on
Yeah,
stage.
definitely. So let's just talk briefly before we get off here about, like what you do for work and so like your hobbies. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is your horse connection. So tell us a little bit about your work, what you do, and like your hobbies on the side.
Well, my work right now and for this year is just pretty much making music. That's what I'm focused on, and I've kind of been able to make a living doing it. And yeah, I'm hungry. I'm not doing well, as they say, but I think I can make a real living making music as time goes on, especially if the CD does anything, and we'll see how it goes. But my hobbies are cars. I'm a car nut. Horses and that's but for my whole young life, it was horses. It was I would ride anything that had hair on it. I mean, I'm telling you, cows, and I mean, I even rode a hog one time. I'm not kidding.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I was raised on a farm, and Daddy and them, they raised cattle, and they farm corn, and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I'm absolutely the definition of a farm boy. But I always wanted to be a cowboy as I was growing up, and I always wore hats and all that kind of thing, and rode horses and broke horses and trained horses and bought and sold horses. Everything that had anything to do with horses. So I got older, and then kind of got into cars, and I'm still into cars. I love hot rod cars, Camaros, and I've got a Camaro that I had, and it's a '67 SS 350 car that I had in high school, and that's a big story in itself. But uh, I like that kind of stuff, and now that I've got older, I've kind of got into pickup, I like Ford model Chevy pickups and Ford pickups, and
All right. Now, I think you had mentioned one time to me that you did logging as a kid.
I
What was
grew.
that all about?
That's what besides farming, and we did it all. Daddy and my grandpa they logged, and they cut timber and haul logs, and I drove a log truck for 32 years. That's
Wow.
I got off the log truck a little bit. I venture off into something else, but for 30 something years, basically that's all I did was drove a truck.
And did y'all have horses and mules in that operation?
Grandpa, I was loading pulpwood when I was 5 years old with a big stick loader. They had me up in the crow's nest of that thing, and they'd pull the cable and hook to the wood, and then I'd pull it in with a machine and set it on the truck, and they literally skidded logs and pulpwood with horses, and those corn crops that they made, they'd grow corn to feed the cows, and they had hogs too, and uh, and they had geese, and they had guineas, and they had chickens. They had anything just about you could think of that a farm would have. Goats. Daddy loved goats. Pop, Grandpa, he wasn't crazy, but anyway, but we literally would grow acres and acres and acres of corn, and just let it stand till it dried. And then we'd pull corn, every fall, and we'd load it in trailers and we'd carry it to the corn crib. But they would plow those fields with those horses and mules, and that's just what we did. And
Yeah.
I'm very blessed to have been to be able to be a part of that, to see it, to actually feel it, to actually do it.
Right. And that can be an inspiration for your work now as well. I grew up on a farm, and a lot of those same things I went through. Not all of that, but you're a true country boy. So that's very much fodder for your songs in the future.
Indeed,
Yeah.
indeed.
Well, so I think we've done about everything I want to do. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think we covered everything, and some things that I didn't know we was going to cover, and that
I tend to have that effect on people.
your job. So
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, what everybody said about my grandmother, that within the first 5 minutes of talking to a stranger, she would know the color of their underwear. So I guess I got some of that as well. I don't know.
underwear though.
I'm not going to talk about underwear today. So, all right. So to tell people again, let me just put this up here. You're going to be playing at Black Creek Tavern next Friday, June 26th. Is that right?
Correct. That's
And
right.
that's the whole band, Chris
It'll
Williams and the Highway 29 band.
be Chris Williams and Highway 29, and we'll should have Ken Randolph and have David Jones playing lead. Should have Eric Swan. He'll be playing piano, and Fred Como will be playing bass, and well, I just hired this new bass. Not think his name. Oh,
Oh,
I'm not going to try to say his last.
you can comment on the video later.
We're playing, and it'll be a lot of fun, and it's always a good time at Black Creek, and they got a really good dance floor, and Nick is awesome, and they have great food. It's just a good place to go and make some music and hang out with your friends. Really.
Yeah, I love me some Nick. He's a really nice guy, and I love working with him. I,
Good.
yeah, I got to do a line dance event there. It was about a 3-hour event one night, and it went really well. So hopefully we'll be doing some more line dancing there soon. We'll see. But yeah, I just appreciate you coming on here and sharing your story, your music journey, and your life story there. And
Thank
I hope that you will come back in the future and give us updates. And when you get to be that big time star and you're singing on the Opry, that you'll still remember us and come back and tell us your stories.
you. Be my friend forever. Anybody that's my friend is my friend forever, and that's for sure.
Amen.
Everybody the support they've given me, and I hope they will continue to support us through this journey.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for sharing your story. Hey, y'all go and follow Chris Williams. Tell us again, you're Chris Williams on Facebook, or does it have the band name?
Right now, it's music, and then I've got my private page, which is just Chris Williams, and my ugly mug is on both of them, so it's fairly easy to recognize. And anyway, so I'm from Hamilton, Alabama, and it's I think if you plug in Chris Williams from Hamilton, Alabama, you'll find me. But there are a lot of Chris Williamses that are in the music business.
Yes, I have noticed that when I go to look that up.
And that's another thing that we were having a little bit of problem with getting my CD ready to go, because there are so many of them.
Right.
Just and if you don't want your songs winding up on somebody else's record, you got to make sure all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted.
Yeah. What if you added like your middle initial or something to make it different?
Well, we talked about that just a little while ago, and that's not off the table.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. And please, everybody, follow Wildflower Western Travel and Wildflower Western Lifestyle on Facebook. And make sure that you click to get the notifications for when we go live. And we'll bring you as many stories as we can about the Western lifestyle. Thanks so much, Chris.
Thank you very much, Rebecca.
Hopefully see you next week.
Thank you so much. God bless.
Right. Thank you.